We have documented it, but can we explain it? We say it makes us move, it empowers us. But what empowers it? It gives, it takes away, it inspires, it maddens, it rocks, it rolls. It's the experience of American popular music. And this is the project that lets the music be experienced.
Okay, that's it for the records. And now turning tonight's show, the visual stars of 1967, the Jimi Hendrix Experience.
Sometimes you hear music that seems to come from a totally different place than you ever would have thought of, but it's just incredibly beautiful, and you want to be able to do something that goes to a place that's like it. And when you first hear music like that, that sometimes strikes a chord, it motivates you to both to learn it and to maybe try to find ways to give homage to it later in life. Jimi's music was kind of that music for me.
In the beginning, we had a concept for what we now fondly, in retrospect, call the gallery scheme. The thinking was, if I get a charge out of seeing this stuff, then other people will too. So then I went out and I said, well, what about if I made this one size bigger? And the need became, how do we show people how to be creative? How do we show them how to be innovative? How do we use content as the medium of that exploration?
One of my theories about the museum is if you can inspire the Jimi Hendrixes or the Eric Claptons or other people like that of the future just by giving them a taste of what they can do in the museum, that'll make it all worthwhile.
You think I'd do that?
It's one of those buildings that every time I go there, it feels different somehow. It's just free-flowing and unpredictable, and any one angle gives you a different perspective on it than any other. The inspiration comes from kind of guitar surfaces and colors. The glass panels that sort of float over the surface express music as an ethereal expression.
When you do a museum for music, there's a whole aesthetic. There's a whole language there that you can be inspired by. Shiny guitars and wonderful shapes and strings and metal pieces. And that seemed appropriate here, to have a building that had a sense of movement, the energy of movement.
We saw a lot of models when we're making some of these decisions. When you actually go down and see the building, we would see a model with the scale of a person about the size of, I don't know, of a fingernail and next to his shape. But when you actually go down there and see the building is quite a lot larger than I somehow imagined in my brain. But it's a pretty amazing building.
Sky Church is a phrase that Jimi Hendrix used to describe a place where people of all ages and cultures and diverse backgrounds come together to make music. And that's why, in my mind, that's the key core concept that transcends, the literal specific experiences that you can have in different areas of the museum. That's the place where it all comes together.
Understand both sides of the sky.
Sky Church is a shared consciousness, a gathering place to celebrate popular music in its purest form, whether in all its distorted glory or stripped-down beauty. It's the main performance space for EMP, complete with a 65-foot ceiling and cathedral acoustics. It really is the heart of EMP, a place where people and music shed their preconceptions and come together to share, to strive, to reach, to transcend, or quite simply, to dance.
Sail on, my little honeybee, sail on.
Our charge was to build a collection that would support the exhibit goals of the museum, and we've worked fast and furious, and boy, sometimes I've felt a bit like Indiana Jones scouring the planet for remains of a lost civilization or something, but I think we're going to have a lot of surprises for the visitors when they visit our museum.
All right, little honeybee.
One of the times that something sent a thrill up my spine, a few years ago, we were able to acquire this notebook that Jimi Hendrix wrote lyrics in. And we found some recordings that he did by himself of him playing these songs. And there's a point where you turn the page and you can hear him on the recording turn the page. Whoa, wait a minute, run that tape back. There's something.
My name is Gatemouth Brown, I just got in your town.
Just as music speaks to us in so many different ways, artists have a habit of speaking about their music in ways that are even more diverse.
Well, we started doing oral history interviews with musicians in 1995. You know, we were years out from opening, but we did know that we wanted to augment our exhibits in our galleries with the word of the musicians. We wanted, wherever possible, to have musicians tell their own story. We've interviewed old bluesmen, we've interviewed punk rock veterans, we've interviewed the cream of the crop of Pacific Northwest musicians, and it's a wide range of people, and we think it's really going to enrich the exhibits.
Is the music in you? Do you know what it's like to play in front of 60,000 people? Have you ever been on the giving end instead of the receiving? What's it like to control this much power encased in an amplifier or a drum kit? How are your calluses?
Sound Lab is all about having a hands-on experience. Doing things, making music, trying out new technologies, trying out different instruments. That entire section of the museum is dedicated to having your own experience. One of the key experiences in Sound Lab is going to be a section where you get to be a musician in a rock and roll band. And it'll be a kind of a virtual experience, and we think it's going to be really fun for people to flip their perspective and be the performer on stage rather than the audience member.
If you're in the Hendrix exhibit and you see Jimi's guitar and you're just inspired, you can go over to Sound Lab. There is a place you can pick up a guitar and play. If you're in the hip-hop exhibit and you see Grandmaster Flash's turntables, there's a place over in Sound Lab that you can go, and there's a turntable interactive there.
All along, we've wanted a place where people can not only see music played, see the artifacts which have delivered music over the years, but also a place where you can actually play music. And that's what it's about, first and foremost.
What you gonna play now? I don't know. But whatsoever I play, it's got to be funky. Yeah. Make it funky!
It's the godfather of soul, James Brown.
Experience Music Project holds fast to the maxim that certain musical odysseys were meant to be recounted using words, music, and total immersion.
Artist Journey is this incredible ride-like event. It's multimedia in the broadest sense of the word. It literally has a platform that can move visitors around. It's film, it's three-dimensional projections that come out of the screen and down from the roof. In a way, it's like a filmmaker's wildest dream come true.
It will be an effort to capture in a dynamic way the life and times of a particular artist. This content has never been presented before in that kind of a venue. And I think it's also going to be very unique in terms of the experience for the visitor. People will never have experienced anything like this before.
All the guitars, all the frayed picks, all the scrawled lyrics, the alternate takes, the arrangement sheets, radio shows, everything that is EMP is all right here in storage. Digitally speaking, of course.
You know, we have this great wealth of material in the collection, and we can only show a fraction of it at any one time. And so here we have committed to a place where we can share that.
A deeper level of information and experience is not only on site, it's also online.
As you go through the museum, you can actually mark down a particular thing you're interested in, and go to our website, get additional information, and find other musicians. If you're a musician, find other musicians that you can do things with, or maybe even form bands.
There's a number of ways that the museum will live beyond its walls. We have designed many different kinds of workshops that go to school groups and go in schools, to workshops for music teachers, how to effectively teach music. goal of Experience Arts Camp was to provide young kids, primarily between 8 and about 13, those are our target age groups, an optimal experience with a master artist. I know that I'm inspired by learning from someone who is an expert, who's doing it right along with me.
What we're doing really at EMP is trying to catch lightning in a bottle in a way. Bringing rock and roll into an institutional setting is not a simple task. And so that sort of lightning in the bottle is rock and roll, and our bottle just happens to be this incredible Frank Gehry designed space. But it's the challenge we face.
Yes, there is a challenge in distilling rock and roll into a defined space, but it's the challenge itself that defines the genre. And in this case, a challenge that is heartily and readily accepted. Because any kid with a guitar and 3 chords will tell you, it's only rock and roll.